it's not that if you are an independent woman, you struggle with finding a relationship. To me, it's that you are not necessarily in need of being in a relationship. Hey guys, I hope you're all having a very good day and welcome to a new video on my channel. Today we're gonna get personal because in this video I'm going to answer your questions, and most of the questions that you asked me were relationship related. So the questions about relationships were about my personal experience, but also about me giving advice to your situation, and also my views on certain controversial relationship topics such as dating while being in school or struggling with finding a relationship when you're an independent woman. So if you're interested in any of these topics and my, opinion about it, then definitely keep watching and give this video a thumbs up if you're excited for it and you like watching Q&As and you want me to do more of them. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first question that I'm going to answer is, hi Lily, this is a relationship question. Have you been dating whilst in America, and is it different to dating in the Netherlands? So this is actually something I was curious about as well, because I was very curious to see if American guys are different from Dutch guys, or I mostly dated non-native Dutch guys in the Netherlands. I don't feel like there is such a big difference, to be honest. Everywhere you have boys that are immature, fuckboys, guys that are just horrible, also guys that are very nice but just not my type, guys that I thought were kind of boring, guys that I liked and didn't like me. I had it all in the Netherlands and I still have it in the US as well. So to answer your question, I don't think there's a big difference when it comes to guys in the US and the Netherlands. What I do have to say is that American guys are a little bit more traditional in the sense that they are kind of more gentleman-y. At least the guys that I dated, like, they will always hold the door for you, they will open the door of the car for you, they will always pay. In the Netherlands it was way more casual, and a guy never really hold the door for me or was even expected to do that. And I mean, I'm not saying that one is good and the other is bad. Personally, I'm kind of a traditional girl, so I love it when a guy treats me like that. I don't know, there are small things, but I just really appreciate it. But to answer your question, I have been dating, but I haven't noticed a very big difference. So the next comment is more of a dilemma or problem someone faces. And she says, how do I deal with my boyfriend of 7 months when he's being mean but thinks it's funny? He goes to parties every weekend and I don't. He takes ages to answer when he's out, and I've told him I'm not happy and he tells me he's gonna fix it, but everything seems getting worse. By the way, I love your videos, they inspire me academically so much. Well, thank you. To me, this situation that you're describing sounds very familiar. In one of my previous relationships, I actually faced this issue as well. I also have to say it was at the end of our relationship. So I ended up breaking up with him, and this was one of the issues that we had. And I had 1 year relationship with him. I'm going to give you advice out of my own personal perspective. This advice is maybe something you don't want to hear and other people may disagree with me, but I always believe that actions speak louder than words. And in a healthy relationship, communication is of course very, very important. So, if you have a certain thing that's very important for you, but the other person doesn't know that, and he or she is not doing that very important thing to you, sometimes they don't do that because they just don't know. So then it's very important to just communicate that. However, I strongly believe that for some things you should not ask. I think some things are so basic in a relationship, for example, spending time together and appreciating each other's time and company, that you should never ask for that. If you're in a relationship and you have to ask your boyfriend or girlfriend to just spend time with you instead of going to parties and going out or other stuff, I don't think that's healthy. And I'm not talking about, having some alone time from each other him or her seeing their friends or whatever. There's a big difference between, you know, not spending time with each other or just having your own life with your own friends, and I think that's very healthy. But the way you articulated your situation, it seems that you're very frustrated and very sad and very like in pain, and that's horrible. And it also seems that you already made him aware of it, and he even agrees that his behavior is not okay, and he still does it. To me, that seems that he just doesn't prioritize you and doesn't value you enough, and values his social life, partying, meeting other people more than spending time with you. I know it's very hard, and I know, you know, we always want to try to make relationships work, but I think like people that are in these situations and ask me these questions, often you know already the answer. Like you already know it's not gonna work, and you just have to find the power within you to break up. When I look back at my previous relationships, one of the best things that I can say about them all is that they ended. Like I've never regretted ending any of my relationships, and I'm very happy to be single and not in those relationships, because I'm very, very certain of the fact that everything that I've achieved now would not have been possible with one of those guys on my side. And I'm not saying that they were bad guys or whatever, but I was just a different person in those relationships, and I've learned a lot being by myself. So I'm pretty sure I would not have been as independent and as strong if I was still in one of those relationships. What is the one ultimate life goal you wish to achieve by the time you're old? Lots of love. I feel like I kind of have a dual answer to this question. First of all, I've always been a girl that had very, very strict goals of like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want to be there. Like, I had my whole life planned out for me. My whole channel and my whole kind of life philosophy is based on achieving goals, achieving your dreams. I strongly believe in the uncertainty of life. No one knows what's gonna happen in life. Even though it's good to strive to something, in the end, we all have to remember that we all have no clue what we're doing, because we have no idea how life is going to turn out. You could be in the same routine day after day for years, and then that one day everything changes, and this can be a positive change, a negative change. It doesn't matter if every day for you is a new day and you take a lot of risks, or you just do the same old every day. In the end, your life is going to be just as uncertain, and I feel like a lot of people don't really think about that or realize that. So with that being said, I don't really have like long-term goals planned out for me, because I feel like it doesn't make sense. Because 3 years ago, I literally couldn't even imagine that I'm sitting here talking to a camera in the US, in my own apartment in Washington DC, while I'm studying law here. So, you know, like, this was never planned, and I wouldn't even have imagined this. Second part, there's one goal that I really want to achieve, and that is to write a book. I've been thinking about it already for such a long time. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to start writing a book anytime soon. I think I'll maybe start writing a book in about like 3 years, when I'm done with all my studies. You can expect a book from me, maybe within these 10 years or 5 years, I don't know. But yeah, I really want to publish a book. And it would be fiction, because I don't like non-fiction. I don't like self-help books. I love novels and literature and poetry, so it would definitely be fictional. It will also be kind of based on my personal experience, so it would have some influences of an autobiography, but it wouldn't be an autobiography. I would definitely write it in English. I would make it very philosophical too. So yeah, I really want to write that book, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen one day, but I'm also very sure it's not gonna happen anytime soon. How do you feel that being a girl that had achieved so much and is so successful has more difficulty in finding a partner? How do you approach the world of relationships? I wanted to quickly talk about this kind of prerequisite or notion that a lot of people have, that if you are a successful independent woman, you struggle with finding a relationship. Although I understand where this is coming from, I kind of see that differently, and I don't agree with that notion. To me, it's not that if you are an independent woman, you struggle with finding a relationship. To me, it's that you are not necessarily interested in finding a relationship or in need of being in a relationship. And I personally think that's very healthy. We women always had to, rely on a guy for protection, for safety, for, having a home, having money, whatever. We were always dependent creatures on males. However, in the society that we live today, in the time that we live today, women can be completely 100% independent and not in need of any financial support, mental support, whatever kind of support from a guy. We were able to do everything ourselves before too, but now we're finally allowed and actually have the rights, and the norms actually make us feel like we can do it. So ever since I really started focusing on myself, my career, my happiness, just my success, I've also started looking differently at guys. Because before, I always thought that I needed a guy in order to achieve my dreams. And maybe this is kind of controversial. I always thought I had to have someone by my side in order to achieve everything that I did. And ever since I became single for quite some time, I realized that I don't need anyone else to be successful. And everything that I wanted to achieve in life, I can achieve that myself without anyone by my side. That made me change my perspective on relationships too, because I was like, okay, if I want to be in this relationship, this person really has to, add something to my life. And I don't mean this in a selfish way, because, I'm completely 100%, committed to that person. Ever since I guess became more successful and more independent, I didn't see finding a relationship more as a struggle. I just saw it less as a necessity, because I was like, I can do everything by myself. Why do I need someone by my side? And if I'm gonna have someone by my side, I want something that's honest and mature and funny and crazy and philosophical and artistic and just a kind human being. And if you're not, then why bother? I can do everything without you. I can be happy without you. So I guess that's kind of it. And also I can talk about all this, what I want, what I value, what I need, but in the end, it's just a feeling. Like, I feel like people often forget, like, relationships is not like matchmaking. For me, it's just like you see someone and you have this feeling, you have this connection, and it just works. It's not a checklist you check off in the sense like, okay, he has brown eyes, he has a cute smile, he's smart, he has money, okay, yeah, he's gonna be my boyfriend. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be attracted to that person, and we don't choose who we fall in love with. So even, it can be a guy that's completely not your type and goes against everything that you're standing for, but if you have that connection with that person, then you're gonna fall in love with him or her. So yeah, I feel like we often like to talk about relationships in a very kind of distant, rational manner, while I feel like relationships are way more based on emotions, which doesn't make relationships irrational, but it makes them way more personal and subjective in a sense that, it's just an interconnection that you have with someone else. And I feel like people kind of forget that. Like, you just have to have a connection with someone, or at least I need that. So another relationship and school related question. My mom has this saying, finish your university and then you can date. Do you think it's hard to study and date at the same time? I kind of have to agree and disagree with your mom at the same time. Why I agree with your mom is because a lot of the guys that you'll date that are in your school, if it's your high school, your college, your master's, whatever, they're often gonna be quite immature, or they're not gonna be looking for a relationship because they are prioritizing their career instead of their love life, which I'm not bashing them for. It's just like a neutral statement. What can often happen is that it's just not the right timing, in the sense that the other person is not looking for anything serious. And I feel like when you already graduated, people are like naturally looking more for a relationship. Another reason why is, you know, when you're dating and you like someone and it's a little bit unsuccessful and, you know, the other person doesn't like you back, it can hurt. It can give you a lot of pain. And law school, or whatever type of school, education, university, is very difficult by itself, and it already gives us a lot of mental breakdowns. So having also relationship issues like as well, that's just sometimes a little bit too much. I mean, it happened to me too that I skipped a study day because I just felt so bad about this guy that I liked. So in that sense, I totally agree with your mom. On the other hand, when it happens, it happens. When you meet someone and you just know this is the right person for me, don't wait because you don't have your education yet. Like, that doesn't make sense. I would say that with this, you should just always trust your intuition and not wait because you have to finish your education. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Another thing why it's good to date while being in school is that you learn a lot too. Like, being educated is not only about what we learn in school, but it's also about certain social skills and morals and ethics and that kind of stuff. And you learn a lot about, you know, other people, but also yourself if you're dating and if you're in a relationship. Like, I've learned a lot from my previous relationships about myself too, and I would never have discovered that, or probably too late or way later, if I didn't date and wasn't in a relationship during my degrees. So yeah, kinda disagree and agree with your mom at the same time. The last question has been asked also multiple times, and it's about living alone, living by yourself, and like the most difficult aspects of it, like how do I deal with loneliness? So first of all, I'm an only child, and I feel like all only children can relate to the fact that we are very independent and we struggle less with the feeling of being alone. For me, the question is like, how can you live with roommates? And I'm not saying it like, I know it's way cheaper, but I know a lot of people sometimes choose to live with roommates, even though they can afford their own studio, for example, because they're afraid of being alone. And I'm like, how? Like, how? Like, I want my alone time. Like, I want my own space with no one here. Of course, I feel alone as well. I also definitely struggled with that when I moved to the US, because, you know, all my friends are still back home and I made new friends, but the people that really knew me for a very long time, they're not here. And also the time zone is a bitch, because often when I call, my friends are still sleeping and vice versa, so, you know, that's kind of hard. But whenever I feel alone, I always just like say that to my friends. I always tell them like, hey, I'm having this moment that I feel alone, and you know, they'll call me, they will come over, whatever. In my opinion, there's kind of this controversial aspect about acknowledging that you feel alone even though you have friends, and I don't really understand why, because, you know, you have friends to lift you up, and you should be, you know, able to tell them, hey guys, I'm having a bad day. Can you, you know, just call or come over or whatever if you're not too busy. For me, it's just reassurance of, whoa, I have these amazing people surrounding me. I may feel alone right now, but it doesn't make sense because I'm not alone at all. Also, whenever I have a very lonely feeling, I'm very creative. So I always make sure that I write it out in my diary or in a blog post, or you know, do something creative with a YouTube video, whatever. Sometimes I like to channel those very kind of painful emotions into art. That was the last question of this Q&A, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and yeah, I love you guys all, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye!